Hey, it's Fan Fantasy here, you can call me Fan, and today I want to talk about a game called Aces and Armour, and also to bring up to your attention too, since most of you like Armour stuff. And it's currently being developed by a small indie studio called Delta Game Studios, and Aces and Armour is their first project. Aces and Armour is a combined arms multiplayer game that is set in the Second World War in various places in Europe and in the Pacific. And not only will you be able to play as the infantry, but you can also crew trucks, tanks, and aircraft. You can either crew as a single vehicle or crew with your friends. AI will also be available to play with and also to support them. And this game is made in the latest Unreal Engine. So off the bat, what really impressed me the most is the amount of details in the interior of the tanks, like the Panzer IV that you see here. I'll have the full video below, and it's also very well explained too. The tanks in the game will have full fidelity features and detailed interiors, allowing you to click on switches, levers, and even on the radio. Pretty much most of these things will be interactable, and they're very clear that they have taken inspiration from Microsoft Flight Simulator, where you have to use your mouse to look around and click using the middle mouse button and toggle interactive mode and then click from there. And you can also see the interior and the impressive details of this Panzer IV, from the commander's seat to also the gunner and even the radio seat, which has the MG34 on it. And yes, the radio man will be useful in the tanks, as they will be the ones who can communicate with other tanks and to HQ. Also got the loader position, which can be a player position, and there will be gameplay on it. And I can imagine just how important it is for the loader to be able to select a round and reload at a proper time. What's really cool is that the loader will need to coordinate with the gunner, move the turret so that they can access certain rounds. I don't know about you, but that sounds really cool, and just appreciating the details that they put in. They're also going to be working on the functionality of the parts inside the tanks, making it interactive and even adding a name description to each of the parts simply by hovering over it and to see what it does. And I think this will be a lot useful for new players who really want to get into tank gameplay. And off the bat, it reminds me a lot of IL-2 Tank DLC, but I think Aces and Armour will be a lot more user-friendly and helpful. Each type of ammunition in tank has its own ballistic and penetration properties. So pretty much everything is calculated and considered. Even the amount of shrapnel is calculated and simulated, and also the chances of spalling. There will be an HP based system, but the physics and simulations are also accounted for in each of the parts. But if you're really interested in the ballistics and all that fun stuff, I really encourage you to watch their devlog, as they explain pretty well on how they'll execute. In terms of weapons, they have completed the PPS-H as well as the Kar 98K and the Mosin Nagant. Infantry will also get a chance to man some anti-tank weapons, and in terms of the gameplay of the infantry, it will mostly be AI controlled. There will be as many as 100 to about 500 per team, which is quite a lot, and I'm curious to see how that will be implemented in all of it. As much as it is nice to have full fidelity features, it's also important to go over some of the gameplay, and this is taken from their Discord, website, and videos. And I'll assume that not everything is finalized, as things are still being developed. So there's going to be at least 2 game modes, arcade and realistic. In arcade mode, it is a 15 to 25 minute game where you'll play as a tank in third person, and there's going to be game modes like Team Deathmatch, Capture the Objective, pretty much like how War Thunder works, I guess. We also got realistic mode, where you will control a character in first person, and there will be tanks, infantry, aircraft in a large battle. The game will last up to 2 to 3 hours, which is quite long, but you'll get a chance to leave at any time you want. Even though you'll control a character in first person, you'll have the option to multi-crew with friends, or have AI to fill in the other positions. There's going to be some kind of economy system where each vehicle you spawn will cost some points from your team, and you'll earn income by capturing or holding certain objectives. And to be honest, I think I'm more interested in this type of gameplay rather than arcade, but it'd be interesting to see how this game mode will compare to other genres like Squad 44. But I'll get to that in a bit later. The cost of the base game will be $15 USD, and there are some questions raised on how vehicle acquisitions will work, and I guess this is where things will be a little bit interesting. The devs have been very clear that this game won't be like another War Thunder, nor will you be required to grind to unlock new vehicles. With that out of the way, there are some interesting things that you need to hear. There are 3 tiers of how vehicle acquisition works. The first is Standard, which is the base game that you buy. These vehicles are free and also accessible to all, and were historically common to see on the battlefield. I'm going to assume that these are some of the Shermans, the Panzers 1 to 4, and the T-34. The second tier is the paid vehicles, and these are the ones that you will have to buy, but these are more niched vehicles and uncommon. The third tier is called the Limited Edition, and these vehicles are rare, and depending on how rare they were historically, determine the number of units that are sold in the in-game market. Speaking of which, there will be an in-game marketplace to sell your limited edition vehicles, so players will still have a chance to own them. From the top of my head, maybe the Mouse is considered limited tank, but who knows. A little bit of this kind of reminds me of Star Citizen with a bit of IL-2 and how you can buy different vehicles, but with a limit. With that, I do have a few questions, and I can even see some concerns, but my question off the bat is what kind of vehicles would be considered the paid vehicle category, as well as the limited edition ones. Right now we don't have a full catalog, but I think it'd be nice to know which vehicles are in what category of tiers, and you also may need to address if people think this is a pay to win, and I can possibly see this as potentially that, but that will depend on the tank or the vehicle itself, and how it's balanced and implemented. Right now, like I said, there's not a lot of information of these tiers, but it'll definitely be nice to know later on. But what's good for sure is that the common ones will at least be available to all. Aces in Armour plans on giving players incentives such as unlocking more cosmetics to your clothing, vehicle skins, certain modifications from the tree, which gives players a little bit more motivation to grind. Thankfully, we don't have to grind for new vehicles. And so overall, I think the development is very impressive, having full fidelity, and that's definitely an added bonus, and also pretty immersive. And they have done a great job in just showcasing to us their development, which I encourage you guys to check out. Personally for me, I would like to see and to hear more about the gameplay and how it'll be executed. And yes, it's nice to have tanks and aircraft and the full fidelity of things, being able to multi-crew, but I do think the core gameplay is as important. And so I do have questions in terms of the map size, certain balances in games, and simply how does it feel to crew a tank with so many details in the actual game? The moment that you drive a tank to the way that you shoot, or even get hit by an armor-piercing shell. But I will also like to see the actual gameplay and how does it encourage combined arms element, because in a combined arms assault, you need to work with the infantry, you need to communicate with the aircraft, and even higher command. Because if they say that they're an actual combined arms game, then we need to see how it encourages that. And is there a DNA for that? Because it is easy to just play with your friends and not communicate with the rest of the team. And I can also see how solo players will just do their own thing and play it like War Thunder or something else. Perhaps there needs to be better rewards for team play, or some kind of consequence if you don't follow your team or follow certain orders. Because it is quite annoying when players don't play the objective in a large scale battle, but I'm interested to hearing more about that. But also there are questions of how structured will this game be? Will there be a commanding officer and platoon leaders and company? But I guess we'll find out more on that. Another thing too is, since there's so many World War II shooters out there like Hell Let Loose, Squad 44, and even IL-2, and you could probably throw in War Thunder with the tanks and Enlisted, which begs the question, what makes this game stand out from the rest? I'll definitely like to hear how this game would stand out, but so far the development seems very impressive, which is why I wanted to bring to your attention. And so these are also some of my questions, and I know that Aces in Armour is more of a recent title, so we'll have to wait and see what they come out with. And if it's your cup of tea, you can support them on Patreon and check them out on YouTube. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I know a lot of you are quite interested in the Second World War genre, so this is probably worth checking out, and I'll be keeping my eye on it, and I'll probably share more if there's more details later on. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like and subscribe. I'm Fan Fantasy, and I do cover FPS as well as other armored sims, so do check out those videos. And as always, I'll see you in my next video.